So, hi guys. I'll just introduce myself. I'm Fred Lee. I'm a psychiatric nurse by background, and I will leave all the academics to these guys. I thought we'd have a little relax, a little sit down. We'll have a story. We're all massively into story time. So, years and years ago, I trained as a nurse and started out as a plucky adventurer on the wards of Derbyshire. Acute mental health, both with men and women. And after a few years of putting in my time, I moved on to the scary world of our psychosis service, early interventions with psychosis in the community. And it was there that I was given a lot more freedom to explore how I deliver my psychiatric interventions. So I've found that with particularly my younger male patients, that all of our therapeutic work was done in the car journey, side by side, facing not towards one another, but just on the road, and we'd have a chat. And I was doing things like some exposure therapy, getting them into the community, just helping control their anxiety as they walk in amongst the public. But our debrief, our reflection time in the car was invaluable. And I started to realize that that was actually the thing that was the most useful of all what I was doing. So I just picked further and further locations to go to extend our car time and reduce anything that I actually considered therapeutic in my own nursey head. We then tried a few other things. So I found that gaming on the wards, I had installed my Xbox and found that my best assessments were done side by side with a bloke playing FIFA. And actually, it was something very novel for me, but I found that if we were both concentrating on the activity, my patients were able to engage with any emotional content a lot better. Then through circumstances, I left the NHS completely. I thought I'd had enough with this ridiculous organization. I'm going, set up a business within the world of private tuition. And then the pandemic hit and they said, please, can you nurses come back? So I said, go on then. I am sick and tired of being inside my house. And I figured it was the only legal means to get out and about. So I signed back up. And since 2020, I have been exploring loads of different areas to do my nursing again. So I've worked in a forensic setting in our low secure ward in Derby, been back in the acute setting on the our psychiatric unit. And then I started looking at using other ways of playing within mental health. And so I'm going to go back in my story to 2016 when I've just left the NHS and I'm bored, don't know what to do. And on the back of a medieval themed stag do, a few of us went, you know, that game D&D, it looks really fun, but aren't we a bit old and a bit dull and like, what's it all about? And so over the summer, we decided, a group of us, to learn how to play this game and discovered it's amazing, as all of you also discovered at some point in your lives. It's so freeing. It's like nothing else. It's like entering the world of Skyrim. You can actually do it. And it's got that strange experience that when you remember playing, you don't remember rolling a dice. You remember throwing a fireball. You remember picking a lock. And you remember accidentally failing your stealth check, dropping a few silver coins, and that dragon destroying you with its incredible lightning breath. And so bring myself back up to 2022, and I thought, this game that I've been loving, I've introduced so many different people to it. I am the forever DM, always the dungeon master, never the player, single tier, thank you very much. But I really do enjoy bringing new and different people to this game. At the moment, my Sunday game has got a radio host, a pharmacist, and a policeman in that game. My Wednesday online, I have a wonderfully eclectic mix of a COVID technician who works in a lab, an engineer, and a physicist who designs radar for the Ministry of Defence. Role playing with the midwife, I made the mistake of having a pregnant woman, and it was amazing, just as an aside, to see her go into a really she's normally the most bloodthirsty elf you've ever come across, and then suddenly she put on a lovely sweet voice and she wanted to see how far along, and I've never been pregnant. So anyway, that was a new one for me. I've seen some of the most intelligent people that I've come across play this game, but I've also got a friend who is, say, slightly lower on the intelligence scale, but he also engages and gets as much from the game as my Sheldons of the group. And anyway, so I'd seen the benefit to all these different people. My GP, not my personal GP, but my friend who's a GP who played, said for her that it was the most fun she'd had in years. And I'd been exploring it and thinking, there must be something to this. There's benefit. I've seen people at their lowest points in their life, people with severe anxiety, interacting with new people, and they found something in this game. So I conducted a literature review to see there must be something out there that I can bring this to my nursing, and found very little. But in and amongst the papers that I've been reading, I found Dr. Kate A. Helbig, who's a professor over in South Dakota, and she'd done a lot of work with neurodivergent teenagers and D&D, and I thought, oh, really, I'll message her, and had a lovely conversation with her, talking about, I'd love to collaborate with you on some research within the NHS in the UK, which she was happy to guide me a little bit on. And then I discovered that Ian's, Dr. Ian Baker, Professor Ian Turner, happened to also be in the same city as me in Derby. So I said a farewell to Kate. I said, thank you very much, but these guys are in my backyard. So I messaged them, and very kindly they said, hello, I'd like to, I said, I'd like to work with you. And they met with me, and now I'm here boring you all with my life history. So if I go to the next slide, I discussed with the Ians just the benefit of D&D. My passion for this game is I truly feel like I've discovered the panacea, the thing that's perfect for almost any mental health condition. In depression, the catharsis that you get through going through different scenarios, the development of resilience when we explore our contained failures, and also lots of mini successes, that tension that we build to be released with the chase or the success, and actually seeing grown men pulling their hair out, pacing, just hoping that that dice roll is something above a 15. I've seen in anxiety, I really do think there's an opportunity to explore the benefits of script writing. I've had a few anecdotal conversations with people about how in D&D they role play going through a scenario where they're with a shopkeeper, and role played in the safe environment that is D&D. They were then able to take that script and apply it to real world scenarios where they actually were able to actually go to a shop, interact with a shopkeep, and purchase something. And D&D was instrumental in guiding them in that, and facilitating that growth. I'd also love to see D&D and the exploration within psychosis. It's my personal area of interest, and I really wonder how beneficial it would be to take someone who is experiencing hallucinations and struggling with determining the difference between reality and their own personal experience reality, and how D&D can be used to help them explore that in a safer way. And so anyway, after my conversation with the Ians, I decided to apply for a role within the child and adolescent mental health services on the nursing bank. I thought, yep, there's a place where I've got a captive, not literally captive audience of young folk who are hopefully going to be more receptive to this game. And actually, within about 6 weeks, there was a change in staffing, as is the chaos of the NHS. And I got offered the Band 6 role instead to be the service area coordinator. So now the person I have to ask for permission to do any study is me, which is really convenient because I'm on board with it. So now, yeah, definitely not literally captive, although in acute mental health, that's slightly different. So now what we're doing is we're just beginning to formulate a study that we're hoping to implement within the mental health services of Derby, where we want to demonstrate the benefits of D&D in a care setting. So I think we can go to the next slide. Yeah, all the way. So that's what we're doing at the moment. So myself and the two Ians are putting together a proposal for Derbyshire Mental Health Services, saying, here's D&D, this is the game, and in the child and adolescent setting, we believe it will have these benefits for this particular group. And I've got a dedicated research, a postdoc staff member who's actually helping me put together a lot of the statistics that we've already got, because the day service in Derby is quite a new service. So there's lots of outcome measures that are being routinely measured anyway, utilising things like the CHI ESQ and the RCADS. And so we're hoping to take all of that data that's already been put together and then deliver myself playing a game with several groups of young people, and then hoping to demonstrate that D&D is as beneficial as we all know it to be. And that is the whistle-stop tour of what I've been up to for the last forever. There you go, Ian. That's me just about done. I'm very excited to see that Gary from Gaming is here, because I'd very much like to have a chat with you at some point. But